What's going on, guys? Antonio here. Do me a favor and hit that thumbs up for me. Let's get into it. All right, we're on the Hollywood Reporter site here, and as you can see here, box office humbug. Aquaman 2 opening to 38 to 40 million in the US, but swims to 80 million overseas. Now, I just left the movie theater. We just got out, and I mean literally within the last 10 minutes. We just got home from watching Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Okay, I want to talk about it. The reality is, I actually did enjoy the film overall. It's not perfect. I actually thought it was better than the first Aquaman, which I did enjoy. Both films were directed by James Wan, of course, who has directed several of the last Fast and the Furious films. And that's probably why Jason Momoa ended up being the villain in Fast X, because of the relationship that they have there. Um, the movie, let me say this. One thing I need to say. Everybody that over the last almost 30 years has been ragging on George Lucas and the prequels from Star Wars and all that, they owe George Lucas an apology, because he got a lot of sons that made this movie. Because anybody that watched Aquaman and Aquaman, especially Aquaman 2, you can see the influence that George Lucas had on the film industry. This movie, I saw there were scenes in Aquaman 2 that looked very similar to when Jar Jar Binks and Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, they all went down to visit his people on Naboo. You know, they had the airship, the mana ships and all that stuff. It looked very similar. The CGI effects were obviously a lot more expensive almost 30 years ago, but this film, this is what I think George Lucas was just ahead of his time when he made Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the. He was just ahead of his time. Like I said, he got a lot of sons that worked on it. There's a lot. There were clearly, Star Wars has such an impact on the film industry, and Star Wars is about to be 50 years old. Star Wars had these people were clearly Star Wars fans, and they were clearly George Lucas fans. They almost, it was note for note. When they went underwater, you see it. They even reenacted the Jabba's palace scene from Return of the Jedi. Like I said, George got a lot of children. A lot of these people, they were influenced by George Lucas and his vision. Another thing I noticed, like I said, there's all kind of. I said this when I made the Fast X video. You kind of have to pretend that reality doesn't happen. You have to, when you walk into one of these movies, you can't be expect. This is a guy that can lift a tank and breathe underwater and talk to dolphins and whales and piranhas and all this kind of stuff. This guy can talk to all these underwater creatures. You can't be like, well, that's not realistic. That's not going to happen. You can't base the laws of reality on what you see. This is a popcorn movie. You have to suspend disbelief and just walk through the door and just sit with it. So that's the truth. If you're expecting, it's like, oh, maybe this wouldn't happen in the real world. Yeah, guys talking to sharks and stuff. That's not, that doesn't happen in the real world. Let me see. I thought Patrick Wilson, I just thought he was okay in the first Aquaman. I thought Patrick Wilson was out. They gave him a lot more to do in part two. Patrick Wilson's outstanding. I thought his portrayal of Orin, Ocean Master, I thought he was fantastic. Yahya Abdul Mateen, the second, who played Black Manus, he was perfectly cast in Aquaman 1. He was even better in Aquaman 2. I have to give it up to him. He was outstanding. Now, I hear he is about to play Wonder Man in the MCU now, and some people were that what's his Simon something. I've been reading Avengers for almost 50 years now. It's crazy, but I know that character is white in the comics, and apparently he's going to be the MCU's new Wonder Man. So some people may not like that, but I thought his portrayal of Black Manta, I thought he was outstanding. one thing I think my wife and I both noticed, Jason Momoa a little fluffy in certain scenes. And Jason, we love you, brother. Put the cheeseburgers down, bro. And I'm not joking. If you notice, if you watch the movie, he doesn't have any topless scenes. And remember, Jason Momoa played not only Khal Drogo in Game of Thrones, he played Conan, and he was in that I can't remember that Atlanta show, and he does roles where he's the good looking guy that he takes his shirt off. You see him walking on the beach and all this. Every scene, the dude is either in his armor or he's covered up in a puffy shirt so that you can't see. Now, if you look on his Instagram, you kind of see why. He's out partying, he's out riding his bike. He's eating good meals and stuff. He was hanging out with Dave Chappelle like a couple months ago. He was doing, you know what I'm saying? He's just partying and living his life. So I get that, but at the same point in time, bro, you gotta get in shape because it was noticeable. And I've done a few videos about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. This movie had 3 separate sets of reshoots. One video I did earlier this year, I talked about the fact that they were cutting Ben Affleck out the movie. They shot several scenes with Ben Affleck. Jason Momoa posted a picture of him and Ben Affleck they had brought him in to play Bruce Wayne in this film, and he got cut out. So the way it ended, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing Superman Legacy to see, because I guess everybody's gonna, because they've already said that Gal Gadot, they'll get all new people. So there'll be a new Wonder Woman, and obviously we've already got a new Superman and Lois Lane. There'll be a new Flash. They'll have a whole new Justice League. They'll just act like this never happened. And remember, the first Aquaman did over $1 billion in the box office. So it was definitely going to get a sequel, but like I said, it wasn't a horrible film. It had a lot of CGI. I mean, CGI. I remember, I mentioned The Phantom Menace and those other Star Wars movies. I remember they were talking about, The Phantom Menace, and they were like, there are over 300 special effects shots in the film. I'm telling you, conservatively, if there's not at least 1,000 special effects scenes in Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I'm telling you, there were that many, because they had to, everything was CGI. Even basic stuff that you wouldn't think was CGI was CGI. There was CGI when they weren't in the water. There was CGI when they were underwater. There's a lot of CGI in this. It came in number 2, The Color Purple. We're actually going to go see The Color Purple, I believe, on Friday. We're going to check that out. I'll do a review of that. But The Color Purple actually came in at number 1. But if I had to give it, if I had to do my old Siskel and Ebert thumbs up, thumbs down, I'll give it a thumbs up. But at the same point in time, it's not a perfect film. It had that guy Randall Park. I think he was in Parks and Recreation, but you'll remember him from he was in Ant-Man he was a federal agent in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and then they had his character show up in WandaVision, and he was also that annoying interviewer on Young Rock with the Dwayne The Rock Johnson. I just thought, I'm gonna be honest I've talked about, I don't really care for Aquafina. This guy's like male Aquafina to me. The jokes I just don't get it. Either way, his performance, and I don't know. It was all right. That's all I can say on it. But if you are tickling your fancy and you want to go check it out, or if you have watched Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, I am very curious to know what you guys think. Obviously, go to ikaripress.com or check the link in the description for my comic brand, Way of the Gun. I am very excited to be nearing the completion process on that. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.